Hi everyone, it's Vicki, aka Venus. Welcome to my channel. This week I saw two movies that I'd like to share my thoughts with you. And one I saw with Mr. Mars, and that was The Covenant. And yes, that was a purposeful pause. I still... yeah, that was a tough movie for me to watch. And the second I saw with one of my girlfriends, so someone of the Venus type, and we saw Love Again. Much easier to watch. All right, so we're going to start with The Covenant because that's what I saw first. The Covenant is a story about an interpreter who was Afghani, and he worked for the U.S. military as an interpreter in Afghanistan. And as a result, well, I'm trying to figure out what I can say without ruining the storyline. Basically, they had said that they would give them visas and asylum, but he didn't receive that, and he did something way above and beyond. I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to give the storyline away, but when he didn't get that, he immediately went into hiding. The circumstances of it would have been kind of difficult to recognize him at that time because the person that he went above and beyond for was sort of out of it, hospitalized. And so anyway, when he came to or whatever, he wanted to get him into the U.S. and he and many other of those interpreters had either been killed, them and their families, or they were in hiding, and this guy was in hiding. So the first half of the movie kind of leads up to everything, and the second half, or the last third maybe even, is them going back to get him, to try to save him and get him to the U.S. I'm not going to tell you how that turned out, but what I said to my husband, at one point in this movie, I was like covering my eyes, putting my fingers in my ears. I just almost couldn't take it. It wasn't just the violence. Of course there's violence, but I still stand by that John Wick 4 was more violent than any movie I've seen this year so far. But it was just the suspense. There's two things that I have a hard time with in a movie is suspense and violence. This had both of them. And the suspense in this one was tough. It's a tough movie anyway. But anyway, at one point I leaned over to Mr. Mars and says, if this movie doesn't end right, I'm setting fire to this theater. I was just so... And just when there's a lull and you think, okay, now it's going to be okay. Oh no, it's not. Don't, No. So, just be warned. But, my husband liked it. He thought it was a really good movie. I thought the acting in it was really good, and I did really like the characters that were in it. And to me, it felt realistic. Now, I am not an Afghan veteran, so I don't know. But it just, it's what I would think to be the way things are. And Jerry said something, my husband's ex-military, but he was in Vietnam, he wasn't in Afghanistan. And I forgot what he said, but something made me think that the things they did and said, some of the things were very much in line with, it was well done, I guess. And Jake Gyllenhaal did a great job, and so did the other actor who played his interpreter, whose name I'm not familiar with him, but he did a great job. And he was a man of few words, and so sometimes it's hard to judge how good an actor is when they don't say a lot, but he said a lot by not saying a lot. So anyway, for Jerry it was a thumbs up. For me, I'm going to give it a thumbs up because I think it was a well done movie and all. It just wasn't my genre of movie, but I'm not going to count it down as being a bad movie for that. It's just a bad movie for my taste. But I don't regret seeing it like I do some movies. I did not regret it at all. And it certainly got my mind thinking of how we treat people who've been allies to us during, who help us out, and what do we do in return for them, other than give them the paycheck while they're doing it. And that's probably how some people look at it, but it's kind of above and beyond in these kind of situations. All right, so next movie, Love Again. I'm sure you've heard all about it. It's heavily advertised. Basically, a woman loses the love of her life, and she starts texting his phone number after 2 years. But by then, somebody else has got that number. And there's a reason it's 2 years. It's just the whole, grieving period or whatever. And she gets some advice from somebody, and to talk to him. And so that's what she does. But anyway, someone else has that number now. And that person kind of becomes intrigued with her. And because of some of the things he says, he knows, she says in the text, he knows where she's going to be. So he gets an opportunity to see her. And then they meet accidentally. And anyway, is it predictable? I'm sure a lot of people say, and to me, I was kind of saying it's kind of predictable, but it is. It's that same rom-com kind of thing where, two people meet, they kind of have a very strong attraction, maybe the start of love, and then one of them has their secret gets out, and that breaks them up, and then they have to get together again at the end by some way. And that some way, in this particular case, had a lot to do with Celine Dion, because the guy is a music critic for a New York publication. I don't know if it's a newspaper or magazine. I wasn't clear on that, or if it's online, just maybe. I don't know. But anyway, if they said it, I missed it. And she writes children's books. And he gets to know her because he's assigned to her, because she's going to have a big tour that's going to, I guess, start in New York. So he gets assigned to her. He kind of sticks out at the press junket to her, where they have a little, press meeting in a room where they can ask her questions. There's maybe a dozen journalists. And he kind of sticks out because his phone is ringing, or it's texting, and he's reading it. It's her. He doesn't answer her in these texts, by the way. But anyway, she, that sticks out. She says something like, oh no, go ahead, talk to your friends. Don't worry about me, or something kind of like that. But anyway, she sort of somehow gets involved, and I think the Celine Dion component takes away from the whole predictable rom-com, who very often they have the same thing. It's like, what was that one with Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, where she had the little book, what do you call it, bookstore around the corner or something, and then they kind of were attracted, and then come to find out he's the developer, and that's his secret, she finds out. It's kind of that same kind of thing, but throwing this Celine Dion in there really kind of makes it a lot less like that, even though it is that. But it makes it interesting, and I enjoyed the movie. Now, is it the best movie I've ever seen? No. Am I going to say you have to see it in the big theater? I would almost say, I started to say no to that thought. I always think about this before I record these. But they do these texts on the side of the screen, which I'm not sure on a television or a laptop screen that I would really be able to read those that well. Maybe that's just me, my age, I wear glasses, and maybe someone with younger eyes would do better reading those. But that was the one benefit to me of the big screen, is I had no trouble reading those. And they're kind of, some of them are kind of faded out as they go, so they're not necessarily easy to read, but they're there. All right, another thing that I really liked about the movie were the two actors, all the actors in this. I liked every single actor in this and the way they played their part. Absolutely. I think they all did a fabulous job. And one of the things that I really liked about them is I don't know who any of these actors are. I read that he played in something, I think it was called Highlander or something like that. Don't know who he is. He's handsome, but don't know who he is. And her, I've never seen her before. I've never seen, his co-workers were hysterical. I've never seen the sister. I don't know any of these actors, and I like that. Because when you come in with movies, especially on a movie like this, that isn't like a big drama or a big period piece, and you put in a very well-known actor, they bring a certain amount of baggage with them, in my opinion. They bring, past parts they play, who they are. They're all, in a sense, a little bit typecast in some way. So when you bring in someone new that I've never, everything is out there. I can believe everything they say. I don't have any preconceived notion. And so I like that. I like movies that have actors that I haven't seen before. Now, am I saying that every actor should just get one part and then it's over for them? No, I don't mean that, because obviously there's some very talented actors who could play anything. Meryl Streep, I think Tom Hanks is another one, just Robert De Niro, but they do bring a certain something with them. And so sometimes it's just, I guess for lack of a better word, refreshing to see completely new people in roles and to be able to, accept them as they come in a blank slate. So I've talked too much about that. I'm kind of distracted because there's a blue jay out there drinking water that's dripping out of my neighbor's, I think the thing where I don't know if it's her air conditioner or something, it drips. So it's got my attention. But anyway, so those are the two movies. I would give it a thumbs up. And my friend who went to it really liked it, and I think she would definitely give it a thumbs up. Probably two if she could, but nope, just one thumb. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that if you like that type of movie. I would not recommend that movie for my husband. He wouldn't like it at all. That would make him as uncomfortable as the war movies made me. Maybe not as bad as, say, the movie last week, the Hey God, hey, where are you, God? Hey, the Judy Blume one. I can never remember the name of that movie, but anyway, or the book. But anyway, that one would have driven him crazy. But anyway, so if you don't like interpersonal relationship movies, this isn't the one for you. But it was a good movie, and I recommend it to those of you who do like rom-coms. So thanks a lot. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.